In recent days, the U.S. House of Representatives has been thrown into confusion after mysterious sounds started coming from beneath the floor of the U.S. Capitol building. You were probably thinking that it's nothing but a bunch of politicians fighting late into the night, but it's actually way stranger than that. Every night around 3 a.m. for the past 6 nights, the representatives have heard a series of regular knocks which last exactly 13 minutes and 13 seconds before disappearing completely. It's happened every night since July, and it's driving everyone crazy. The knock has been compared to someone hammering the lid of a coffin, and some have even said it sounds like Morse code. But whatever it is, it's coming from directly below the Congressional Hall, and nobody can figure out why. Security forces and geological engineers have carefully checked but found no tunnels, underground structures, or other signs of human activity that could be causing the noise. The walls and floors of the building are also extremely thick and made of reinforced concrete, so it's highly unlikely that sound could be resonating through them from outside the building. All of the noises seem to originate within the building itself. Adding to the creepiness of the situation, some lawmakers claim that they saw a dark, shadowy figure standing in the hallway outside their office when the knocking was heard. However, when they reported this to the police and asked them to check the surveillance footage, there were no images of anyone there at all. This has led to wild speculation, with theories spreading like wildfire across social media. Some people believe the noises are a signal from beings in a parallel dimension, while others think it's the ghost of the founding nation warning of an impending collapse. There are even some who claim that the 13 minutes and 13 seconds are significant because the number 13 appears twice in the Bible. These people believe that it's a divine message from God about something terrible that will happen soon. Of course, there are also many skeptics who insist that there is a perfectly rational explanation for what is going on. But so far, nobody has been able to come up with one. What we do know is that the noise has been recorded by the building's own microphones and speakers. It seems to originate from different parts of the building each time and can be heard throughout the entire Congressional Hall. As if that wasn't weird enough, the knocks always start and stop at precisely the same times every night. So what is going on? Could there really be a secret society living underneath the Capitol building, or is there another explanation entirely? In this video, we're gonna take a deep dive into the mystery of the knocking sounds and try to separate fact from fiction. Let's get started. It all started on July when Representative Troy Nehls tweeted about the strange noises coming from the building. He didn't say anything too alarming, just that there were loud banging sounds coming from the floor of the Capitol building. He described the noise as someone tapping the top of a coffin. His tweet quickly racked up thousands of likes and retweets, and several other members of the House chimed in with their own thoughts. They used similar descriptions like Morse code and hammering a coffin. Some lawmakers even claimed to have seen a shadowy figure standing in the hallway when the knocking was heard, but it disappeared before anyone could get a good look at it. Now, normally, we would probably just dismiss these stories as the ramblings of a few bored lawmakers. But things took a turn for the bizarre when security forces and geological engineers were called in to investigate. They conducted a thorough search but couldn't find anything unusual. There are no tunnels, underground structures, or other signs of human activity that could be causing the noise. The only thing they found was a small hole in the foundation, but it was filled with concrete and didn't appear to lead anywhere. To make matters even stranger, the knocking continued every night for 2 weeks straight. It always started right at 3 a.m. and lasted for exactly 13 minutes and 13 seconds. Then it stopped, but just when everyone thought it was over, the knocking started again last week. It's happened 3 times since then, following the exact same pattern as before. It always starts and stops at precisely the same times. Now, at this point, you might be thinking that the whole thing is a hoax, especially since no one can agree on what the noise actually sounds like. Some say it's hammering, others say it's Morse code. But if that's true, why are people in positions of power so concerned about it? Well, the truth is they aren't sure what to make of the situation. That's why they called in the experts in the first place. There are a few possibilities that the authorities are considering. One is that the sound is coming from a group of protesters who have set up camp in the sewers beneath the city. Now, this may sound far-fetched, but it's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. Washington, D.C. has had its fair share of sewer dwellers in the past, and there are still plenty of homeless people living in the city's many tunnels. However, this theory seems unlikely given that the noise is so consistent and regular. Protesters wouldn't likely be able to maintain such a schedule over such a long period of time. Plus, they would have eventually been detected by the city's sanitation workers. Another possibility is that the sound is coming from construction work being carried out by the National Park Service. However, this theory is also unlikely since construction work would not follow such a strict schedule, and it would almost certainly be audible during the day as well. It is possible that the sound is actually coming from animals living in the building's many nooks and crannies. After all, the Capitol building is over 200 years old, and there are plenty of places where small animals could live undisturbed. However, this theory seems less likely given that the sound is so regular and consistent. Animals don't usually make such precise noises. That leaves us with one final possibility, that the sound is coming from a group of people who are deliberately trying to disrupt the government. Now, this may sound like a crazy conspiracy theory, but it's actually more plausible than you might think. The Capitol building is one of the most secure buildings in the world, but it's not impenetrable. There have been several instances of people getting inside the building without authorization. It is possible that a group of activists or protesters managed to gain access to the building's ventilation shafts or other restricted areas. From there, they could easily make their way to the floor above and produce the knocking sounds. However, this theory raises a lot of questions. Why would someone want to do this, and how are they managing to avoid detection? The answer to the second question is probably that the building's security is focused on entrances and exits. There are several points of entry into the building, and security is focused on those areas. However, there are also plenty of ways to get into the building undetected. The building is over 200 years old, and there are plenty of crawl spaces, ventilation shafts, and other areas where someone could hide without being seen. As for why someone would want to do this, well, that's a lot harder to say. It could be anything from a simple prank to a more sinister plot to destabilize the government. Of course, this is all just speculation. We don't really know what's going on. But one thing is certain, the authorities are taking the situation seriously. They have not yet caught whoever is responsible for the noise, but they are determined to find out who it is. When asked for comment, the Capitol Police released the following statement: "The USCP is aware of the audio recordings being circulated, and we are currently investigating the source of the noise." The U.S. Capitol Police is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all people on Capitol Hill, so what should you make of all this? Well, that's up to you. There's no denying that the knocking sounds are real. They have been recorded by the building's own microphones and security cameras. However, there is no evidence that they are coming from anything other than a group of people. Sure, it's odd that no one has been caught yet, but it's not impossible. The Capitol building is huge, and there are plenty of places to hide. It is also possible that the noise is coming from a group of protesters who have managed to coordinate their efforts with military precision. If that's the case, then it's a lot less creepy and a lot more annoying. But whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: the U.S. House of Representatives is in panic mode, and they won't rest until they find out who is behind the mysterious knocking sounds. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more updates.